Well, yesterday I got up kind of late and I was kind of walking. I got out to walk the dog. I usually walk them twice a day. And I got out, started walking them around the block, and my bigger male, I got up around the corner by the woods, and the bigger male started to pull me down this hill. And I got to looking down there, and I seen this little girl down there all tied up. And so I went across the street and told the lady that lived right directly across the street. I told her about uh, to come out and call the humane or the dog Ingham County Dog Pound, and she called them, and I ran my dogs home. I have 2 boxes. I ran them home, got in my truck, brought the truck back up. I grabbed a pair of scissors when I was at the house because I had noticed the electrical tape around her legs. And I got back up there and just crawled down into where she was, and the tape was on so tight. I mean, I got her front legs unhooked, but her back ones, I had to just, pick her up and take her back to the truck to get her back laced. The tape was just too tight. That's when I noticed she had tape around her muzzle too, and that was really tight. I could barely get that off, but I finally got it off, and so I took her down to my house and gave her some food, and she drank a little water, and then I called. My wife was doing the phone work, and she called the Humane Society here. I'm just glad the Humane Society got out there so quick. Julia was there within 20 minutes. I mean, they did a real good job. I was pretty hot when I first, seen what was going on. It kind of kicked home, so I just wanted to get my dogs home. I didn't want to have my dogs add more trauma because she's just, she's been through so much, but it enrages me. I mean, my main concern at that point was just to get her into someplace warm. She was shaking like you wouldn't believe. And I just can't see a dog suffer like that. It's just not right.
We'll only warm up into the low 20s tomorrow. There's some snow and more cold right around the corner. Details coming up.
She's not more than 2 years old, and her owners threw her out like trash, but not before beating her near death. We're talking about a pit bull mix that's alive tonight, thanks to a good Samaritan. News 10's Megan Norman has the story.
This female pit bull mix wasn't supposed to survive.
I think that's where they tried to to kill her.
Ernest Moss walks his 2 dogs the same way every day.
My big dog tried to pull me down the hill, and I didn't really know what was going on, you know, so I looked down the hill and I seen the female pit bull all tied up and just shaking, you know.
Early Wednesday afternoon on Cedar Street in Old Town, Moss stumbled across Tatiana, bound, bruised, covered in blankets, and nearly frozen to the ground.
Her paws were taped, her back legs were taped. It took me a half an hour to get the tape off her, and around her mouth was taped. It was just pretty sad. And that's all that mattered to me, was to save her.
Hairs were ripped out by the tightly wound electrical tape, which had her hog-tied in the frigid cold, left to die.
It's not something we've never seen before. It's certainly something we'd like to never see again.
Head swollen from severe trauma, believed to have been beaten repeatedly with a blunt object, and littered with fresh wounds.
But I saved her. That made me feel good.
The Capital Area Humane Society is now looking after her recovery.
She's a really tough dog.
Named by the Humane Society after Tatiana Ali because, well, she's a fighter with a very rough road still ahead of her. In Lansing, Megan Norman, News 10.
The Humane Society is offering a $500 reward for any information leading to an arrest in this case. Police have arrested what they're calling a person
Well, now this case is one of 2 recent and high-profile animal abuse cases. In the first, a dog named Tatiana was found beaten and left for dead.
Yes, but while these 2 cases shocked mid-Michigan, you know, the reality is local shelters, they see this more often than you might think. In part 1 of a special report, Inside the Mind of an Animal Abuser, our Brittany Gray shows us just how big the problem is.
Come on.
It's a path Ernie Moss knows all too well.
He's just a big puppy.
He's walked this stretch of road twice a day
Sometimes I go up around the church.
for more than 20 years. But back in January, his typical walk was anything but, and one he'll never forget.
It was probably 18 degrees.
So cold, he says, he debated even leaving his house.
We got up here. I kind of looked to see what he was, you know, looking at, and Tatiana was down in under the tree there, all tied up.
Moss says she was hidden underneath blankets. When he took them off, he found she had been beaten, her paws and muzzle tied with electrical tape. She'd been thrown here in this ditch and left to die.
She was shaking. When I picked her up, you could see the leaves are all stuck to her, so I had to brush her off. You know, she had been there a while.
When you come to physical abuse and blatant abuse, I don't think that anyone fully understands why someone would want to take the life of an animal and jeopardize it like that. It's disturbing.
Julia Palmer is the CEO and president of the Capital Area Humane Society. She picked up Tatiana from Moss's home. But Palmer says the reality is The Humane Society sees abuse like this or worse all the time.
We had another dog that was found in a crate, frozen to death, starved before it was frozen. And then we've had another one just recently where two dogs were placed in garbage bags in Washington Park. One was dead, the other one was half dead just about, but managed to chew itself out of the bag. We see a lot.
Jamie McAloon-Lampman oversees the Ingham County Animal Control and Shelter. She says her office investigates thousands of abuse cases each year. On any given day, the cruelty tip line receives up to a dozen phone calls.
We see some pretty horrific abuse through the dog fighting, the physical abuse, things like that. But it seems like we have seen a lot of these animals that are being abandoned are either very ill from starvation or they've been neglected for so long that they're just incapacitated.
And while it may seem like we've seen a rise in the number of abuse cases, both Lampman and Palmer agree that's not the case.
Ingham County Animal Control has recovered 2 dogs, one of them dead.
They're just using the media and social networking sites like Facebook, spreading the word so they can find out who did it. But while it's something shelters deal with on a daily basis, it's abuse Ernie Moss won't soon forget.
I was upset, and I'll admit it, I was crying, because she was in bad shape. Heal.
So he'll continue his walks and keep a much closer eye out for his neighbors and their animals.
Not in my neighborhood, not when I'm on watch.
Wow. Sad.
It is. You know, and I know so many people have been wondering for so long now, how is Tatiana doing?
She's doing well. She's doing well. I spoke with the Capital Area Humane Society not long ago, and they said, they're working with her every day. Obviously, there's got to be some fear there.
Sure.
But day by day, she's getting better.
Thank goodness.
And one update, we have had this story before, but just so you folks know, they have arrested the man that is accused of beating Tatiana.
Yeah, okay. So, we watch these reports. People at home do too, and we get affected and emotionally involved.
Makes you sick to your stomach.
It does. What can we do?
I think the biggest thing is don't assume somebody else is going to make the phone call for you. If you see a case of animal abuse, call your local county animal control. Yeah. Just get the word out.
Even if you're not sure. But really, let's cut to the heart of the matter here when you get to all these cases. I mean, what kind? This is just a defenseless animal. Everybody has pets and says, oh, bad dog. The people cross the line, way across the line. What is in the mind of a person that does this?
Actually, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight at 11. Tonight at 11, we focus on what would possess somebody to actually do this. What's behind it? What would cause a child or an adult to act out on a vulnerable animal?
Yeah,
All
okay.
right. Thank you, Brittany.